Been a while. It feels like it's been a while. When was the last time we streamed?
This afternoon. Oh wait,
Was it last Wednesday?
I think it may have been last week.
It might have been last Wednesday. I don't know because we didn't do anything over the weekend. I don't think we did anything on a Friday.
A full week.
Wow.
I had my mom visiting us over the weekend. So
okay.
All
right. So you weren't lonely,
but I had stuff going on.
Okay. So you were busy. I was a little lonely. I was missing you.
Sending digital hugs your way.
All right.
XOXO.
XOXO. But we're back at it.
Is that still a thing? XOXO?
Yeah, I send my wife and daughter XOXO on the text on the regular, so I think it's still a thing.
It works for me.
I don't know.
Oh, I have a notification on Twitter.
You do?
Yeah.
What? Just like somebody retweeted the tweet that you just tweeted out about us starting our stream?
No, I tweeted the tweet that tagged both of us.
Oh, okay. And that was your notification about you notifying yourself?
Yes.
Gotcha.
I'm not smart enough to know that it was going to happen.
It's like, ooh, exciting.
I Twittered myself.
Oh, yeah.
Wait a minute. PG-13, my bad.
Awesome.
I'm going to set my phone to charge. All set.
Nice.
All set.
I know, kind of like last minute get set up here. I'm still eating my dinner. It's cray.
Ooh, I haven't prettied yet.
You haven't prettied the project code?
Yeah, I created a new project for tonight's stream.
Nice.
All right, we're good. Ooh. Let's see if that works tonight. We'll try that.
Let's see. I better consult Twitter to find out what we're streaming about tonight.
Yeah, I don't know.
Right. We're going to do ngFor some performance stuff. Yeah.
I don't know. We'll figure out where we go from. It's a good starting point, right?
Good starting point. I agree.
Start with that.
So we're going to play around with some performance stuff in component templates. Yeah.
Component templates, components.
Ooh, that sounds pushing the envelope there.
I know, right?
Yeah.
Wrap. Sorry, I'm doing some Embed.
All right.
Cool.
I don't know if I'm really feeling this lighting setup still. I'm trying to get my lights on. I got a new light. I got this Loom Cube. Trying it out. Oh, see, like that seems okay. And then when I pull that away, I'm like washed out right there. I think I need a lighting expert. I'm not one.
You're not one?
No, definitely not. I don't know if I need to turn off like my other lights.
Oh,
go dark in here. Maybe that's a little better. I don't know.
I think I liked it more with the other lights on.
Like let's get in Halloween, and it doesn't need to be spooky a little bit.
Ooh.
There.
Speaking of Halloween,
yes,
we did our Angular Air thing today. Had a great episode. Loved Tara. She was awesome. But I'm feeling this whole Tooth Fairy thing.
Yes.
I think I may try and hit up one of those Halloween stores on November 1st.
Get one for next year?
Why does it have to be for Halloween?
That is a good question.
Because I'm thinking about the whole idea, sleep with a laptop under your pillow.
Yeah.
Like the Tooth Fairy, but it's the Job Fairy. So if I get a Job Fairy shirt made and wear wings, that would be great to wear around a conference.
Okay.
It could be the Job Fairy.
They'd have to be like not very bulky wings so that you could like make it through the crowd, Well, I would say
if I got kid wings and maybe just extended the straps longer.
There you go. I think that. So then like they'd be low profile. They'd be like wings back here, but not necessarily out here, right? So then you're still taking up the same space width-wise as you travel down the hall.
I think I take up enough space as is. I don't think I need to expand on that with any extra wings. I think you're right there.
That wasn't where I was going, but
It's okay. I went there. It's all right. We're good.
All right.
But I appreciate your concerns of others. being able to navigate if someone's going through wearing wings.
Right. Well, and I think, you too, you'd have to like be turning and twisting to get through crowds. And I mean, you're a popular cat. So, a lot of people are gonna be coming up to you and wanting to hang around you in a circle and talk. So, just want to see optimal Tooth Fairy Brocky at
Optimal
conventions.
Tooth Fairy yes. I like it.
All right.
Hey, Nico's here.
Nico, what is going on? Always good to have Nico back.
Hello. I'm going to pop the chat out. I'm trying to get my screen all organized so that I can
I'm trying to get this app installed to control this light.
Oh, you can. Oh, that's fancy light.
It is. I
just have normal like recessed lights in my ceiling.
Yeah, I have a fan light and then I have a desk light, like a stand-up light. And I'm trying to step my light. Oh, there we go.
Does that work?
That does work. I think so. I don't know.
Is this a little good? Is this a good look?
Again, I'm not a lighting expert, obviously. So it looks like very Halloween. There you go. All right.
I hurt my eyes doing that. I need to stop. Coding blind.
Oh man, I don't even like. Oh, that's bright. Flash constant. Oh, look at this.
Nice.
No?
You know what you need to do?
Intense. I best stop that. Stop that.
Does that have like what is it? If this then that integration?
Oh, that would be interesting.
Anytime your tests fail, your light flashes.
It starts flashing on me. Or the build breaks, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All right. See, I think my problem is, there. See, look, if I got something closer to the camera, the lighting works. But yeah, see.
Is it dynamic based off of the lighting?
No, I think my camera is behind the light. So I need to bring my camera forward, I think, is the scenario.
Are your cameras behind? Oh, okay.
It's like a little offset behind the mic. Behind the light. So I'm thinking that the camera needs to be in front of the light.
I think so.
Because see, like as I get something closer, it seems like, I don't know. Again, I don't know what I'm doing.
Maybe you need a diffuser.
I've got it came with that. Look, here, wait, where's that? It's so dark I can't see. It came with these. So I've got two diffusers and one's probably
one.
Now I'm down to one. So I got a warm level one, right?
Okay.
And then I've got the one that's on there, which is a diffusion light, and it's kind of a white looking filter.
Try the warm. Switch them up. See what you got.
Okay. Well, my light turned off, so I got to turn it back on somehow. How do I? Okay. Going manual. Mm-hmm. You entertain the people that are watching while I they see my arm.
That's not it. I definitely did that wrong.
That was not the. Okay, where's this filter here? Okay, warm level. Bloop. See, I think it's still the scenario of like it's,
I think you're right. I think that the other one worked better as well.
All right. So now the question is, do I turn it off now for the rest of the stream, or do I fool with it now and move my camera?
That's a good, tough question. I'm not sure.
All right. I don't have the answer either.
No answers.
It's going to drive me nuts, though. All right, I'm going to go back to my old lighting from the previous episode, and we'll figure this out later on my time and not on everybody else's time. How about that?
I will recommend that you don't shine your flashlight from your phone in your face. Just a little tip that I may have picked up along the way, or
good recommendation. All right.
I'm just going to code while you play with your light. That's cool.
Okay. That could work.
Code phobia.
All right.
And GERDs. I think that might be NG
nerds. I have like angular
I'm taking that as NG nerds.
I like it.
That guilty.
Guilty. All right. So what do we got? You got you said you got a sample project going here?
I've got a stupid sample project.
All right.
And let's bring it up. I don't mean that like disrespectful to myself, meaning it's stupid in that I haven't done anything with it.
All right.
All right. I also have to apologize. I had hockey on again.
My
game hasn't started yet. I'm waiting for my game to start.
All right, let me launch this link here to join.
Yeah, I don't know if I did a read-only one or if I didn't or not. I did a read-only one. All right, I'll give you right access.
Okay.
All right. Oh, should we share that with everybody?
Yeah, for sure.
All right, in the chat, VS Code live share. We've talked about it before. I'm not going to give any primers on this. It's just our VS Code live share link.
And there's the link.
If you wish to join, you may join. That's my Halloween accent.
That was pretty good.
Thank you.
If you wish to join, do you have like fake teeth, the fake vampire teeth?
No.
A cloak?
I got nothing.
Got nothing. Just the accent.
Yeah.
We'll take the accent. All right.
I've come to break your build.
I like it. Nice.
All right. So do we
I didn't have the logo up. We didn't have this little logo, our brand logo up. Boom. Talking this whole time. No logo up there.
Up there?
It's there now.
Okay.
Can you see it? Look harder. Reach for it. No. Oh, you got it. All right.
It's like it's one of the college football things. Like I had to go up and slap the sign.
So yeah, right.
All right,
now we should intro, right? We have to come running in the room, have the smoke machine, do the Ray Lewis dance, get crazy. No,
I don't know. Nico did a laugh out loud. Actor Bracco. I don't know if that makes me a comedy actor or just a really bad actor that that they were laughing at me.
Hey, B movies need to be made too.
Yeah,
there's always an audience. All right, can I share your screen? Are you ready to share your screen?
Yeah.
All right.
My screen is shareables.
All right, there it is.
I mean, we're talking about like really like in-depth stuff. So all I have is generated a new application. We've got a component here. I'm going to create an array of items. And I'm going to do some stuff in NG on init because we're going to hard code some stuff. Maybe. I don't know. We'll see. And then,
all right, so what we're going to do, we're going to make use of an ngIf, and we're going to, ngFor.
Yes.
All right. And we're going to try and break performance and then fix performance.
Yeah.
Yes, no?
Yep.
All right.
I have an idea.
You have ideas. An idea. One idea.
One. Singular
idea.
Yes. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do this. I'm going to do for let I equal 0, I less than, we'll do 20 items.
20 items is a good start.
When was the last time you saw a for loop?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Why are we doing for loop instead of a for each?
Because I don't have an array to iterate over.
Oh, you're loading the array.
Yeah.
You don't want to start it with an empty array?
No, I want to add.
Oh, you don't never. I got you. Yeah. I'm with you.
I'm going to create an object.
Okay.
The ID is going to be I. Chat borked. Oh, we don't have borked chat.
R. Hutchinson. Hey, we see you. We're hearing you.
Oh, you know,
We're reading you.
We're gonna do less than or equal to. Dude, look at me. I'm ligaturing.
You got ligatures.
Yep.
What's that? What's your font? Fear Code? Or what font?
No. I am using Microsoft's Cascadia Code.
What is that? Never heard of that.
You haven't heard of Cascadia Code?
I have not heard of Cascadia Code.
Microsoft announced it a couple weeks back.
Okay.
And it was labeled as a terminal font. As a font to use in the terminal.
Terminal font. Okay.
It's open source.
All right.
So I'll go and do a quick search for it. But before I do, I'm not going to leave VS Code to search for it.
You are not.
Nope.
I know where you're going.
Yeah, I installed the
you're not going anywhere, right?
Huh?
Well, you're not going anywhere. You're staying in the VS Code.
Yeah. I installed a new extension called Browser Preview. Okay. And it allows me to host a browser window right within here. Actually, I think I can get there just by going to github.com. Let's try that. I don't want to sign up. I just want to search.
It's interesting.
Why GitHub? I don't know. I just want to search. Explore. Here, let's do this.
Whoa, that's loud.
Maybe I can search that way. Ooh. Check out the Twitch highlighter extension, which allows chat to highlight a line of code. Ooh.
Sidetrack.
Yeah, why can't I search within here? All right, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to search off camera and just bring up the link to it.
Okay.
And then I will bring that in here. All right. So it's an open source font. So if you have changes that you want to do, or if you want to change the fonts or submit a pull request, you can do that.
Look at that.
Mm-hmm. We go to the releases. There's stuff in here. Oh, there's a new release. I should probably look into that. Oh, the Latin 1 character set and box drawing GIFs.
All right.
I don't know what any of that means. But I haven't missed it, so I'm going to stay with the version I've got.
Hey, Brock, you have a confession.
Yo, what's up?
I started messing with my webcam.
What?
And now it's not showing up.
Oh, no.
I know. So I think I'm going to have to leave the room and come back. And I'm really hoping that won't affect the stream, that it'll still be running.
Oh, no.
I feel like it will.
So I think we should explain that we stream using a tool called StreamYard. And I don't have any of the controls over what everybody else sees. So if you leave and come back and don't or can't get back in here, then I have no controls over what everybody sees. It's just
I clicked a button and it worked. Whew.
Good old buttons.
That was a close one. I thought all the things you were describing was going to have to happen and it was going to be chaos. But
yeah.
Okay. I think we're better now. So anyways, back to the ngFor.
Oh yeah, it's going smoothly. Yeah.
All right. Meanwhile,
meanwhile, back in the Batcave.
Back in the code. All right.
Straight H2O. Ooh, Oscar says it's 2 a.m. in the UK. Wow. 2 a.m. Thank you for staying up.
Dang, no kidding.
Or getting up early. One or two. I don't want to.
One or two.
Yeah.
I mean, we need to adjust our time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Oscar's time. No?
Maybe.
Maybe.
Trying to think of what I want to do and how I want this to work.
We need to load up an array that we are going to change individual items in, right? That's one of our goals here.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Let's just get started with what we've got going on here. All right. Oh, nah, just sure. Okay. So I just wanted to start just by displaying these options, right?
Yep. And so they're objects. There's an array of objects.
I know, real complicated objects.
Right. Okay.
All right. So,
but they're an array of objects. That's the important part.
It is an array of objects. So let's get rid of this and let's do a div and items. And inside that, we're going to have an item.
Okay.
And a little bit of Emmet. And inside here, we're just going to say this is going to be the item dot title. I think I did title, right?
I can look for you while you type.
I got it.
All right.
Title.
ID title.
But item's not defined because what we're going to do is iterate over these. Let item of items.
Hey, did I ever tell you the trick that I used to remember that?
No.
I didn't?
No.
All right.
I may have, but
so
I'm just setting you up to share with everybody.
Okay. All right. All right.
Yeah, that's it.
You know, the whole like, is it this in this or is it this of this, right? Like my mind would always flip back and forth. So I decided that for me, I'm going to go with Game of Thrones. And so it's item of items. So I think of Game of Thrones when I do the ngFor.
Nice.
And it helps me think of, right, this of this.
Oh, okay. I like that. Okay. And then we could do let Game of Thrones. Oh, this is
Throne. All right. Nice.
Like that?
Yes. I like it.
Cool. So if we look at this now in our browser preview track by, we should see all those items. Did I break anything? Thrones. Let's make sure I didn't type that wrong. Let game of game.title. Save.
Did I remember it wrong?
I don't think so. I think we're good. That refresh. So the downside is I don't have access to see this in my console. There's no console over here.
Oh, and the browser preview inside of VS Code. That's what you're talking about?
Yeah, there's no way to see that. So I found out what the issue is, that you can't call push on undefined because this is not initialized to an empty array.
Yeah, that's kind of important, I think.
Yeah. Bullshit.
Cool.
So we've got our 20 items.
All right.
Which is good. But I want to style these.
Okay. I know what you're going to do.
What am I going to do?
You're going to do some CSS grid, I bet.
Oh, I am not.
Hey, Brocky.
Yeah.
I don't know what you're going to do. I changed my mind. Oh, you're going to flex. Flex on them. I like it.
Justin, you disappeared on me.
I did. I'm trying to squeeze in some of my dinner because I didn't get around to it till later. So I'm turning the camera off while I eat so nobody has to watch me chow down.
Cool. All right, let's see how well I did here. I did horribly.
I mean, I think that's a good first pass.
No, it's not. Because I sent sizes on these, but what I didn't do is flex wrap. And I wanted to wrap.
I always want to wrap.
And then let's add Border. What color border do you want?
Light blue.
Dude, I don't think that's going to show up well.
Well, you asked. How about light gray?
You're done. You lose. I think it is.
All right. That was my third option. I swear.
Let's do 6 pixels. I'm doing fancy pink boxes. Right? Look at that.
All right.
Do they need margins?
Yeah, I mean they're kind of too close together.
All right. Now with flex, do you do that here through a margin, or do you do something else?
You
know what? This isn't a flex box stream. All right, so let's test. Look at that. Look how responsive that is.
All right. We're somewhere.
Yes. All right.
Like it.
So the problem is that space. Oh, look at that. Thank you, Nico. What is space between is like flex something or other, isn't it?
And it's like justify items. There's like that stuff. I think it's like justify. Type justify. Yeah, justify content. There you go.
Let's do that. And let's try to get rid of the margin now.
You know, you could open up the dev tools and change. Oh, yeah. There's no dev tools in here.
I'm going to go back to my margin because we've got the weird spacing on the bottom. And I don't want that.
All right.
So I'm going to put my margin back. But thank you, Nico.
Oscar says thank you for the previous session on configuration for different environments.
You know, I put a lot of thought in that, and it really helped out. But the thought that I put into it was, hey, Justin's really smart. Let's let him show off what he's put together.
Well, that was Oscar's request. He was looking for some information on that. And so stoked that we could kind of give him that information and do a stream on it at the same time. So that was fun.
Nice.
So hopefully it was helpful. I hope it was.
I don't know. I'm not using it. I should. Because I literally, this afternoon, I set up environments for an application that I've been working on. All right. I want to add a little bit of functionality in here. So what I want to add is the ability, I'm going to add some buttons. Are you familiar with buttons, Justin? I heard they turn your camera on and off.
I'm getting more comfortable pushing them now.
All right. I mean, look, 3 buttons. And Emmett tells me that I've got a button, and a button. Like 3 of them.
I'm so excited that I can be around for your, like, it feels like your discovery of Emmett, like, or your rediscovery of Emmett and excitement of it.
You know, it's not that. It really isn't. I just love Emmett.
I do too.
Filter and I'm going to take this and we're going to filter by that and lowercase that. Does that look good?
Those are all even odd. Yeah.
All right. So
we're gonna change this list and with our filters. That's one way we're going to change it, right?
Yes.
Okay. Like we're going.
So let's do this. I'm going to do, all right. This is going to bug me.
You can change it back.
Yeah.
We got it. Game of Thrones.
I appreciate it.
Item of items.
Item of items. All right. We're good. All right. So what I also want to keep track of, because we're not observable with this one, is I'm just going to create a thing of all items.
Okay.
And then initially, I'm just going to say this dot items is equal to all, or this dot all items.
And so we're going to load up items with the currently displayed items. And that's the array that's going to change over time here.
Yeah,
and then the all items is our reference to get a hold of all of them, our data set.
We're just going to populate a full array, and this way we have that sitting there. This is not going to change at all, but this way we can reassign this dot items by changing things on here.
Yep.
Cool. And then this is going to be a filter type for string. So we're getting an argument that we're passing in. So I'm going to do some code folding here. Oh, my keyboard shortcut that I wanted came back.
Like it's in there? What do you mean by came back?
Sorry, a data binding that I wanted, or a binding thing to set up a keyboard shortcut.
Is now there?
Yes. So you used to be able to fold, right? And whatever keyboard shortcut this is. But then you could also unfold.
Right.
This, and I didn't like that. And I didn't want to have to remember two of them. So what they added, it's in here somewhere, is a toggle.
Nice.
So I can come in and I can set something up so I can toggle folding through a keyboard shortcut. So I can come to this line and hit my keyboard shortcut and hit it again, and it just toggles back and forth. So I only have to remember one keyboard shortcut for folding.
Victory. That was hanging out there for a long time, huh?
It was. I went and created an issue because it was bugging me, and then somebody was like, hey, not smart person who doesn't know how to search, there's already an issue out here for this. And that was the polite way that I read it. And
it was like a link, right? And you're like, oh my God.
And somebody posted something about the new release of VS Code, and they were like, oh, I'm super excited because it does X. I forget what X was, whatever was in the new release that they really were excited about. And then one of the other things in that list was this, and I was like, oh, it's here.
The new phone book's here. The new phone book's here.
Dude, nobody's going to get that reference.
You got that reference though, right?
Oh, I definitely get that.
All right, thank you. Sometimes that's all that matters is like you and I connecting, right? But maybe somebody out there might have got that reference.
Anybody in the chat? The new phone book is here. Anybody?
Well, you got to give them time to respond. You know that.
I know. I'm going to give him a chance.
Nico says
yes. Simple things. That's not where I know the reference from.
See, we're connecting.
We are.
We're connecting.
Those cans. He hates those cans.
He's shooting at those cans. Okay.
I don't need anything.
What's up?
I don't need anything. All right. So with the case of all, I'm just going to type all my cases in here.
Okay.
So all, odd, and even. And do I have that right with the colon?
Yeah, I think you're.
Wow,
your prettier is complaining. Yeah, there you go.
My prettier. Thank you, dear.
Our prettier is complaining. Sorry, my bad.
All right, so if we're filtering all of them, we want our items to be all of them.
Yeah.
Odd is going to be this dot items. It's equal to this dot all items, except we're going to filter them where the item. Items is an object, so I want to say where I dot ID, right? Modulus 2 is equal to 1, right?
Sure,
why not? And this is going to be equal to 0. So let's see if I did that right. All right, now if we want to see odd,
click the button. Click the button.
I clicked the button. Oh, look at that.
Wait. 1, 3, 5, 7. Yeah, those are checking out. Okay. Even that didn't appear to perform the ideal experience.
No, it's not. What is going on? Even.
Let's check this code out here.
You know, I bet you I have a typo. Event.
Where did that come from?
It's even T.
Even T.
Sorry.
I didn't do it, I swear.
No, not you. Evens. Oh, evens are good. Odds are better.
All right. And all.
Cool. I feel like I want to do this through animations to show what's going on. But does that make sense?
What's going to take to throw that in?
I don't know. We did a whole stream on animations, but I think we could probably do it a little bit quicker now.
All right.
Does that make sense?
I mean, you're going to have to NPM install the animations. You're going to have to set that up, right? Like, want to do all that?
I don't think I do.
Okay. Sorry. I might have talked you out of it.
You did. But I think you know what I might be able to do is just load up our animations piece.
The project and do it in there?
Yeah. I'm thinking about that. What do you think, Justin?
Well, I mean,
you know what I'm going after, right? To illustrate why we would want to use the track by function.
Yeah, and I'm just wondering if will the animations help illustrate that?
That's how I got back in the habit of using track by function, because track by in AngularJS was a lot easier than what it is in Angular. You have to be a lot more specific.
Mm-hmm.
Explicit? Yeah, explicit. In that, in AngularJS, to use track by, and we'll get into what track by actually is doing, but all you had to do is specify a property. And that was pretty easy and pretty straightforward in AngularJS.
Right.
But in Angular, you need to provide a function to be able to say, hey, I want to track by something.
Run this logic, right?
Yes, exactly. So what the track by feature does is, as you're iterating over a set of elements or items within an iterable, not necessarily an array, but an iterable. I'm sorry, I'm just gonna have fun over here saying the word iterable.
Iterable is a fun word to say.
It is. It basically is a helper function to Angular to say, I want you to keep track of which item is which based off of this function or this criteria. So that Angular can know whether or not an item has been removed or added into the array. So what it does over larger sets and immutable arrays is it'll help Angular to determine what items within an array or an iterable need to be taken away or which ones need added without necessarily having to remove all of them and re-add all of them. And that's why animations plays nicely with this, is because through animations, you can see things disappear and come back.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense? Did I explain that well enough?
Yeah, I like that. So it's really talking about what the ngFor does to the DOM when it does the structural directive logic that it does, right?
Correct.
And saying, well, if we give it a new array of data, we don't want it to rip out all those items of the DOM and recreate them all. Can we be more performant and say, just change the ones that changed, right? Replace them and add. Yeah. Yep. That's I like it. I think the animations will be a good illustration of that, like you said. So do we want to add animations to here, or do we want, all that time we were talking, I should have been like, well, I couldn't do the npm install, but I guess you could do that and we could have just added it to here. I say we add it to here. So, all right, it sounds like an angular intervention.
Yes. All right. What do I need to
a couch or like a chaise lay down and Rocky can talk to me.
What's that?
Oh, we were just talking. R. Hutchinson was mentioning it sounds like an angular intervention.
Do we do angular animations?
I need like a couch, and then I'll lay down, and then you can help me with my fields.
All right. Now, when I came across this scenario, I think I should probably let this run. Okay. Oh, wait. Bad mic.
Oh, don't be so hard on yourself.
Right?
Oh, yeah. Okay. Give yourself a hard time.
Oh, you disappeared. All right. Invisible Justin. Okay. It doesn't support ngAd. Oh, it's already installed. We've already got animations.
Really?
Yeah. You were way wrong, Justin.
I was wrong. Yeah, that happens.
All right. We're going to get rid of that, but I know we need to configure our app module. I remember that much. Import the... Oh, let's not do that because that's stupid. Sorry, inefficient.
That's not ideal. How about that?
Is it an animation module? I thought it was the browser animation module.
Yeah.
Browser. And an
animation
module. No
it
code.
Does.
Justin. I'm blaming you on this one.
I'll take the blame. I'm trying to. Why is it not showing up? What are we missing? It's been this long since we've done animations.
It is. Let's do @angular/animations. Hey, Angular.
Browser animations module. Imports browser animations module.
It doesn't exist.
Angular platform browser animations.
Oh yeah. R. Hutchinson, I know because it said it was already installed. I had it from the wrong spot. So you're right, platform browser animations.
But VS Code didn't help you out there.
It didn't.
I'm sad.
Hutchinson's asking if the install failed. No, what it was telling me is that it was already installed. Although it's intrinsic because it's now part of the platform browser.
Interesting.
Right? Because there's no animations in here.
Oh, yeah, it is. Yeah.
It's already installed. It comes installed. Thanks, CLI.
Is that a thing now? CLI installing animations by default?
I think it installs it, but it doesn't set up the module, so it would get tree shaken out.
Okay.
It's kind of like the module or the routing module, right?
Yeah, but when
it's there.
I ask you if you want to add routing. I can't remember.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is that inside your package.json, the @angular/routing or whatever the package name is already installed. It's just not added as the module within here.
Right.
That makes sense?
Yeah.
Makes sense to me.
Yeah, it's no cost to us unless we add it.
It doesn't bloat your bill because of the shaking of the trees, like the windy day shaking the trees.
Right. If I had trees, I'd be shaking them right now, but I'm just shaking my hands in this weird action.
Okay. Good job.
But imagine trees. I don't know.
All right, so we want to do some animations, right? It's trigger. Yes. And we need to give it a name.
I'm glad you remember this stuff.
You can name things because naming's hard.
All right. Fly in.
What?
What are we gonna do? We're gonna have things come in and out?
Yeah, I want to do enter and leave.
Okay. I say fly in and fly out. Or piloting. I mean, that you were right there in my mind. Perfect.
Right. What's next? Dude, I've yet to look up anything except for where the module came from, and I don't have any red squigglies.
It's pretty good. I mean, yeah, I think so.
All right. So we want to start with a style. And my style is going to be complicated. I want to start with a style of a background of transparent.
Okay.
But you don't, where'd you go? Yeah. Come on, let's import you. Okay. Well, all right, you're a string then.
Need to be a string.
Do that. And then we want to animate. Does that sound good?
Yeah. So styles are starting style.
Oh, it's telling me that I don't have that. So we're gonna go slow though. I want this to be slow so that we see what's going on.
Wow. 2 seconds is like an eternity.
Right?
Yeah.
And we want to animate to a style where the background is red.
Okay.
That doesn't go there. It doesn't like this. What does animate need? A string, and then it needs a style. Do I need to say style here?
You have to say, yeah, you have to call style.
Well, this is an array, so I need that. Okay.
Yeah.
Dude, did I just already do that?
No, do you want the border? What are we gonna do with this background here? What's your idea there?
That it's going to animate the background color.
Well, if it starts transparent, it's just going to be nothing, right? Whatever the
triggers. Oh wait, I have triggers. I need states. Where do I find my states? Dude, we should do a stream on animation so we can learn how to do this.
We should, or we should watch the stream that we did before we try and do it again.
All right, I'm gonna look up.
All right, so we need state like open and close, or
on github.com/ngbs/get animated. Did I type that URL? No, I'm way off on that. Okay.
You need state transition or transition one transition.
Oh, hey, we never pushed that code.
So it's not on GitHub.
It's not on GitHub. cd dot. It is Get Animated is the name of the project I had created. I'm just going to open this up off to the side locally so that I can look at it.
All right.
This way I can just pull in the bits that I need. All right, so we want a transition, and the transition is going to do something, and therefore it needs an array here. Yeah. And then we want these things in here. Transition. And we want this to be enter. It's going to start at red and go to transparent. Actually, I'm not going to use red. We're going to use green for when it comes in.
Okay.
And when we leave, we're going to go from transparent to red. Does that make sense? Green go coming in. I don't know.
Okay.
Refresh.
You didn't put it in the DOM yet, though, right?
Oh yeah, I got to do that. See, teamwork.
Co-piloting.
Piloting. All right, let's see.
Wait for it. Wait for it.
Hey, Justin.
Yeah, Mike.
We need to run.
I need to run, or
we should serve.
We should serve it.
Yes.
We'll give you a volleyball serve this time. Do you serve your volleyballs like this, or do you serve your volleyballs like this?
Yes. I have an underhand and an overhand serve.
All right. Do you jump serve?
No.
Okay. Miko asked, "Where's the beer?" That is a great question. A busy day could use one.
I'm a sober day.
Sober day.
I don't drink on Wednesdays.
I got my Powerade Zero. Wait, can't even show it. Yeah,
I've got my Angular cooler.
I got my orange.
I'm probably going to pour this all over the place, but I'm just going to. I use my water bottle as a
ASMR.
There we go. Hey, look, our build's done. But our browser's not refreshing. Let's take care of that. Collapses that. And refreshes that. Do you see any colors?
I don't see. Oh, there I see it. Oh.
See that?
I did.
Let's go odd. Those go away. See, it's helpful.
I like it. I like it.
And all is when those come in.
Okay. I'm so glad you added animations. Now we can see
when things are coming in.
Affected, right?
Yeah, but we're not seeing what I'm hoping to see. Yeah, this isn't working the way I want it to.
What were you hoping for?
To see that everything refreshes. You know what we should do? No. We should make this an observable. And therefore, we are immutabilizing it. Do you want to immutabilize with me?
You're mutabilizing it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, what were you expecting? I want to know what you were expecting to see.
I was expecting to see that whenever we go back to all of them would get added. Because it's doing some smart stuff here to know. Let's come back and I want to turn this into an array or an observable.
Okay.
I'm going to do this, and then we're going to have an observable of type any.
So you're telling me that because we have this array of all items and you're setting a filtered list of that to the items, which is really just a new array pointing to the same objects, that Angular is now knowing what objects actually changed based on that pointer and only updating those.
Yep.
For us.
I believe
that seems like a good thing right now.
It is, but I want to break that because then I want to break it so that I can fix it.
So right now it's like, okay, well, we're working with the same reference of objects. And so Angular is able to adapt to that and have us in a good state. So we're fine in that scenario. But if we change this, like you're saying, to an observable where we're not having mutated data and having new data, full new array with new object references each time, then we can start seeing some scenarios, right?
Yeah. All right. So in here, we don't want to do this. We want to say the item subject.next, and we want to emit out all items, right? So
our HUD says we need to hide all button and to change the all to show all. So the all button dynamically changes.
Yes, I'm going to go through and do all of these. So all these need to emit through that subject.
Right.
So if I come down here and rather than assign, I want to say this dot items subject dot next. This dot all items. Except here we need that, and then here and here because multiple lines. Does that all look good to you?
So you're emitting out the value rather than setting it there.
Yes.
But it's still the same concept, right?
It is, except for the fact that since it's not going to be the same array, it's going to be a new array each time.
Right.
So all we should have to do is this becomes that, and it's async. Right?
Yeah.
So hopefully I didn't break anything there. I'm checking my console on another thing.
Did you emit out the initial value?
I call next on it.
Okay.
Items $sign. That all looks good. Does this need to be a replay subject? So that value's there? No, because I shouldn't need to do that.
Behavior subject?
Yeah, replay subject, behavior subject, whatever. It shouldn't have made a difference, though. But it does. All right, so we refresh and we see all of them come in at once.
Well, because that pipe hasn't subscribed to it, possibly, by the time that...
That's a possibility.
Right? Okay, so now we're seeing all of them. Wait.
No, because when I switch from odd to all of them, I was expecting all of them to come through here.
Yeah.
Let's do this.
I feel like what you want is you want new objects for each of them. array of new objects, right? The spread operator each object to get the effect.
I'm not sure exactly what I want. I'm making this up as I go. That's what I was thinking about. So whenever I switch here, see how we have here. I'm going to change these real quick to be even slower. I know, we're going 5 seconds.
That is an eternity.
Isn't it though?
Feels like it.
All right, but watch what happens when I I'm going to let that go completely done. All right, cool. When I click odd, notice I have item 1 on here twice. Because they're 2 different objects, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I was simulating here is by rebuilding the array each time.
Right.
I'm getting a new instance. And yeah, the spread operator probably would work for that too.
Yeah, that's what Ernesto mentioned in the chat. What about the spread operator?
Yeah.
Welcome, Ernesto.
I would have to spread each, I would have to do each object, not just the whole array. Right?
Right.
So I rather than do that, I'm basically rebuilding the array each time to simulate that, right? The immutable nature, right, of what we're talking about, and whether or not that's coming from a different HTTP call or if it's coming from doing some sort of operation against that observable, something that is causing a new value or a new object to come through.
Right. Potentially same data in the object, but new object.
Right. So when I click all here, I shouldn't see item number 1 and 3, all those even ones twice. Right? Because then it's recreating each one of those each time, and that's not what we want.
Right.
We want to basically have a way to tell Angular, like, whoa, whoa, whoa. I know it may not be the actually same object based off of reference, like pointers. It's not pointing at the same spot in memory, but I'm telling you it's the same thing. I want a way of telling Angular, hey, that's the same thing. Don't recreate that DOM element.
Just chillax. Hey, can I write some code?
Yeah, let me back out some code real quick. And I just want to change the timing of these here. So I'm going to go back to 25. We'll cut it in half. We'll go to 2.5 seconds.
Okay.
All right, cool. Hold on. Let's follow the Justin. Good.
Okay. So what I want to do is instead of our build all items, I want to use the spread operator and see about getting this working here. So I'm thinking that for, let's see, we've got this dot all items. Let's start with the odd. This dot all items dot filter. I am going to add a dot map for the array, right?
Mm-hmm.
Item, and then I'm just going to do way shorthand here. I'm missing any parentheses? No. All right, so I'm going to kind of space this out here so I can read this a little better here. So something like that, right?
Yep.
We got all items. We're filtering out the odd ones, and then we're going to use the map, the array function map, right, to map those into a new object with the spread operator. Does that sound good?
I got you. So by doing that, we should be able to get rid of this.
Right. We just need to add this to a couple more places, right?
Yep.
So we do that everywhere, essentially.
Hey, let's both do this. You do the top one, I'll do the bottom one.
Okay, sounds good. As long as we coordinate on which one to do, right?
Yeah.
How's this work again? Do I have to, if I don't save it, but you save it, who saves it?
I'll save it.
All right. Do you have Prettier on save running?
I do.
All right. All right, I'm hands off. I typed my, oh, look at that. Nice.
Yeah.
All right, so now should we have the same effect, I think?
Yeah, so we're not building each one each time. What about, you have made it so that, let's click here. We see, okay.
Okay.
I like that's a little bit cleaner, and it follows a little bit more with the pattern of what we're talking about.
It's really the idea that if we're, not having mutated state, right, and we're doing some type of state storage, then the idea is that update that value with all new values and stuff.
Ooh.
Rather than mutating.
I have a different idea.
Okay.
So we're going to get rid of the build all items. I'm going to get rid of that whole line. And we're going to get rid of our map here. Get rid of our map here. I need that.
It just showed up. I feel like it was so new, and that like it wasn't even there. I could have counted to 10 and it was gone already.
Justin, I think we need a refactor.
Okay, that's fine.
So instead of doing this, let's do this.
I like it. I like it.
So this is the items coming through, and I need to add. See, VS Code occasionally was like, map? Oh, yeah, I know what map is. You just want capital on it. No, no, no. I want this one.
No fun. Yeah.
All right. So what I want to do here is that for these items, actually, I want to return items. And then here I want the array map item returning there.
Okay.
That makes sense?
Yep.
And then we don't need this. And therefore we don't need the return or the semicolon. Cool.
This is where things always get wacky and weird, right? When you're like, when you've got an array and you need to map
item, items, map.
Yeah. map.
Exactly. But to be clear, this is the observable map.
Right.
We want to map the value that's coming through here, and we want to map each of the items inside of the array. So
using the array map.
Exactly.
Which map?
So if we come back here, should have refreshed by now. That we are getting the same behavior, but we refactored it, so now it's only happening once. And yes, exactly, Hutchinson. Schematics.
I feel like we could do a comedy talk with map. Which map? Could be called Which Map. The Blair Witch Map Project. I don't know.
So bad. But the other reason I wanted to go through and do this is that this fits very similarly into the paradigm of what most people are doing in their applications, right? They have an observable, they're doing some things with it, and then they're rendering it. Right. Because maybe here we're adding another property on here with a description. And the description for each of them is going to be equal to the item.title. Right. So maybe this now we've added some purpose for going through this.
Right.
And doing this. All right. So if we come back in here, we see that we're in the same scenario where if I switch to odd, that I have item number 1 on here twice for a couple 2.5 seconds, the duration of that animation.
So not only do we have everything getting ripped out of the DOM and re-added, even though some things change, but we also see duplication at a period of time.
And the reason why we see them twice is only because of the animation, because one's animating in while the others are animating out. And we're just doing that to illustrate what's going on, to be able, it's basically a failing test, if you will, visually.
But it's a timing thing, right? Like it's a valid timing scenario where, like, if it happens fast enough to the user, you may not see it, but it's actually a problem, right? Underlying there, the problem, because as soon as you add animations or any type of timing delay, this is going to surface itself, right?
That's a good point. So if I take the animations off here and we look, we don't see anything wrong. Everything looks fine.
Right. And even if we were thinking Yeah, like everything. Yeah, right. Everything looks fine.
But as soon as you get into the idea of having some sort of animations or some sort of additional behavior, so you don't see anything's wrong, but at the same time, those DOM elements are all getting recreated every single time that observable emits.
This is some maddening debug stuff too that'll come up. Like you go, I'm going to add this feature. I'm going to add animations. You pop it in there and you run to the browser and you're like, what is going on? I've got duplicates. What? And then you're just going, okay, where do I go from here? Right? What do I even Google? What am I supposed to search for the term if I don't know what's going on? Right?
Exactly. And then you do want to add the behavior of some sort of animations to be able to draw a user's eye to, all right, I've now unfiltered. I want to be able to see what's coming and going, which is a very useful animation, in my opinion, which is partly, I would imagine, the reason why you have the shortcuts for enter and leave, so you know when the DOM element comes in or leaves.
Right.
Because it's that common of a scenario to make that state transition, to define that state transition as easy as possible. And this is bugging me too, because now that I did this, I can re-add that. I can just get rid of this function. And we're initializing that. Yep, we're good. Okay. So we're back to where we were. So how do we solve this? Well, most people are familiar with ngFor, with the let and the of and the asynchronous piece there. But there's another way to do this, and there's a track by. I think it's just track by, right?
Track by.
And then you specify the name of the function that you want to call.
Yeah, I can't remember if it's the name or if you have to actually call the function. I'm pretty sure it's just the name, but let me look.
Are you looking that up?
I'll look that up.
All right. So we want to specify a name within there. So let's move this ngFor down onto the next line so that we can read this a little bit better.
Yeah, it's the track by function name.
Okay, but it's just track by, right? And then a colon?
Correct.
Okay. And then we want to do this with our item tracker. And what this is telling me is that it's not defined. The component declaration template variable, blah, 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 do not contain such a member. So it's what is this called? Language service is telling me that, hey, you're specifying this function, but it don't exist. So I'm going to come back into our component, and I'm going to get rid of our filtering fold our stuff here so that we have a little bit more real estate. And do it. Whoa, too much folding.
Too much folding.
I'm over folding here. All right. Anyway, so I'm going to define another function here on our class. And
it wouldn't you like folded that thing like 8 or 9 times and it became this Angular code origami or something, and just had this beautiful visual display of some. Right. I'm just thinking.
If I'm correct, that the track by function. There. I'm sorry, I'm looking at the documentation as well. Here. I will share the documentation link in the chatty chat.
Nice.
If anybody wants to look that up. So the track by function, I think you can pass in the item that you are referring to, and I think you can also do the index. Is that right?
Yeah, I'm trying to track that down here. Track that down.
And I can't see my console, so that isn't going to help us a whole lot. I got it. Yep. Sorry. The definition of that is, I'm going to put that here right in the code because that's pretty straightforward to be able to see it here. So this is the signature of a track by function. That it's a function in here that returns a type NA. So I have these backwards. So index and the item. And what we want to actually track these by is the ID. So whenever we created all of our items in our ng on init, we gave each thing an ID. And this typically will be some sort of GUID or a database numeric ID or what have you. In our case, ours are just numeric 1 through 20. So all we need to do then is return this. So what we're now doing, just to explain, do I need to specify that, Justin?
Item tracker, item tracker. What's it complaining about? Still the same thing?
Yeah. Oh, I haven't saved that other file.
Oh.
So if I save that, it should tell me that it's cool. And if not, oh, there we go. Okay, we're good. So what we've done is we said, all right, when we loop over these things or iterate over these things, we want to track each item based off of the logic in this function. So what we can do is return out the ID and say, hey, I want you to associate this DOM element that's bound to this data item based off of this property. So we could have two different instances of the object and like references with the same ID, and it will treat it as if it's the same object. Therefore, not destroy that DOM node and recreate it, but reuse that DOM node.
Right.
So now we should be able to see when we switch to odd that we're still recreating everything, Justin. Why are we recreating everything? We should not be doing that.
Let's investigate. Item ID. Save all the files? You saved all the files, right?
Let's try a refresh because I have it open in my browser over here as well. And it was working. So if I do odd,
it's working.
There we go. And then if I add them back in, we see that no, the first one isn't being duplicated again. So when I click odd, it just takes away the ones that are there and leaves the existing ones. Now when I switch to even, we'll see all of them, the ones that come in and the ones that are leaving.
I think that was part of the confusion is like, wait, all of them did it, right? But that's because you're going from odd to even, which is technically removing all of them, right?
Yes, then all of them should leave, and then the new one should come in.
Right.
If I switch to odd, we see just the ones go away. We don't have the duplication here. And then if we switch to all, we can see that the only thing that comes in, which means that these items, the odd in that case, are not being recreated.
Created, right.
Which is exactly what we want.
Yes. Yes.
Magic.
So what if you need the wand? I didn't bring the wand in this.
I keep on forgetting to grab one of my kids' wands.
I know, you need dual wands. I mean, to me, like, should we be just doing track by all the time?
You know, I found myself defaulting to add the track by function all the time now.
I think, because I see this as one of those scenarios where you build something and it's working and everything feels fine. And then you add a feature and all of a sudden that architecture doesn't work anymore, right? Or you need to change something. And so how can we start building where we're prepared for features coming in that we haven't got ourselves in an architecture scenario that's not ideal, right?
Yep. The way that I've have came across this most recently is I just finished building an application that had 3 levels of data. It had an array, and each item inside that array could have an array of children, and inside of there could have an array of children. So think of it of like customers that can have orders, and then orders have details. And maybe you're filtering or you have some sort of search. And I was trying to animate to show that what items were disappearing and coming in, so that visually the user's eyes are drawn to which items are then being rendered or not rendered. But what I was seeing with that is that everything would animate in or everything would animate out.
Right.
And that's not what I wanted.
Right.
So I wanted those DOM elements to persist. So I had to go through at all 3 levels and specify a track by function.
Yep.
Now, the piece that's interesting about a track by function, you go back and look at this, is that this is generic, right?
Right.
I could reuse this and I could essentially create another one, and just to duplicate it below is I can basically say track by ID, index, item, and this item could be anything that has an ID of type any, right? And then that's a function, and I can just say return item dot ID.
Right.
It's a good question. Hutchinson asks if we default to animations for debugging these types of issues, or there are other tips, tricks for identifying. I don't know of any other tips or tricks regarding this, and that's kind of why I've defaulted to having it versus not having it, because of the way that observables work. The fact that there's immutable data coming out of there, so you always have a new instance of each item within that, typically an array coming out of that observable.
Right.
And
Yeah,
then,
I think that for this scenario with the track by and things coming and going, like the animations, if you want to have some visual representation, right?
yeah,
Would be the scenario.
because Angular's rendering is really, really fast, right?
Right.
So if we're rendering 20 items and it has to redraw 20 items, that's fine. There's not a whole lot to these to like a template like this. But what if it's a more complicated template? What about if you're rendering, say, the idea of like a material card, and you have a header and a body and a footer, and maybe even some potential popovers or tooltips or anything else that are rendered within there. They may be inside an ngIf to make it a little bit more efficient, but still, there's the potential for a lot of different DOM elements to be inside.
Mm-hmm.
Or what if this is some sort of chart and you have a whole lot of DOM elements inside there, and not just a simple piece or a simple like text or anything else, but a more complicated object? Well, then you're destroying and recreating potentially thousands of DOM nodes. And it's those types of performance improvements that can take an application that you spend a lot of time on and potentially make them slower.
Right.
Not to mention, obviously, the idea of animations is just having it look really weird,
right.
or incorrectly, because then you're just incorrectly showing duplicate data.
Right. Yeah.
The one thing that I do miss from AngularJS, so I'm going to get rid of this because, what I was saying, let me finish the thought from earlier, is inside here with a generic track by function, you could define this somewhere else, but it needs to be an instance on the class.
Yeah.
But if we had two different loops and they both had IDs, we could reuse the same function here for both.
That gets really interesting.
Yes.
Like,
but again, with the track by, it needs to be a function that you define. And if I remember correctly, this can't work either. You can't do like the index and the item
like
and
inline.
then return i.id.
Right.
You can't define this as an inline function here.
Because that's Angular's template syntax. And while it has JavaScript-like stuff in it, it's not full JavaScript support in Angular syntax. Yeah.
And sorry, I'll just copy that. This is why I have it here. What I miss about AngularJS's function is that all I would have to say is I want to track this based off of the ID property. So what I would like to see, and maybe we should actually submit an issue here, is do a track by prop, and then it would just be a single property. This way, you wouldn't necessarily need to create a function or function on your component class.
Just to do that, yeah. But you'd have to have that strong typed in some way, right? Like, would it be item.id at that point? The compiler and everything knows what you mean by ID right there. Like it could be a filter that takes in, like we could build that filter, right? Probably. Well,
no. So no, because I don't think you need to, because what Angular is doing behind the scenes is it's saying, all right, I'm going to come out and say, all right, whatever value I'm iterating over, I'm going to take that, whatever this is, and pass it in here.
Right.
And it'll basically say, all right, this is item or whatever. This is the index and the item. And then what it should be able to do is say, oh, I've got this. And then I can say item sub track by prop, where item could be foo, whatever, right?
Right, but see, at that point, the ID over there, I think, would be wrapped in single quotes, right? It's a string that you hand in instead of a, yeah, it'd have to be something like that.
Exactly. That would be an interesting second way of handling a very common scenario as I see it, that I imagine, and I know I have, to be able to recreate a track by function over and over again.
Right.
Because it needs to be an instance on the component class.
Right. And that's where that gets tricky, right? It's like you want to create that as a new class method on the class, right? Rather than saying, oh, I have this other function that I have written somewhere else called track by ID, and I import it in. Well, now how do you get it on that class at that point? You're setting it to a class field, right?
Exactly.
And it's just duplicating that function every time an instance of that component is created, you know, versus having it as a method. So yeah.
If you were going to do that, so this, actually, do I sell that on my clipboard? I do. Nice. So we have this here, and we go to item tracker. So you're saying the idea of having a service. So maybe you have a foo service, right? You could potentially say item tracker is equal to this dot foo service dot track by ID.
Right. But then if you do that, then every instance of the class has a class field called item tracker that stores that value.
Yeah. Well, you would need to. Yeah, I would still have to create this on every form. But rather than having to recreate this function on each component, I would love to be able to see a track by property.
Right. But see, like what I'm saying is like on line 63 right there, right? It doesn't go on to the what's it called? The prototype for the object. So every instance of the class will get a class field called item tracker that will have that function as its value, versus say a method, which then goes on the prototype, which all instances share that one method, you know, in terms of your JavaScript.
Correct.
So the challenge, like some of those challenges where what you're mentioning of, if there was some shorthand template syntax that you could do it, would alleviate several things, right? Commonality of what things we pattern do, but also this say, you know, that sort of thing. I don't know.
Yeah. Because if we could get in there and do something like a track by prop, because then maybe all you have to do is say, all right, I want to track it by the name. I want to track it by ID. I want to track it by the UUID. I want to track it by whatever. And you don't have to recreate all the logic because it's such a common scenario.
See, what I would love is if you deleted that UUID out of there with the quotes. single quotes, right? And you just kept your track by prop colon space and then item.id. So that could potentially understand that item is one of those items, and then would have a strong type, like understand what the property ID is off of that, right? Not a magic string anymore.
Yeah, I don't know. We'd have to look into the idea of structural directives to see whether or not this piece would have knowledge of what this let property name is.
Right.
Because you're associating this to be the same, correct? So this would be just to come in here.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that would be ideal right there, right? Because then it can know the object.
I'd be okay with this. For the simplicity of not having to create the extra or the component method.
Right, for sure. Take it over. You have something like that for sure, yeah. And if the error messages are good, then we could get an error at runtime that says, "Oh, ID is not a property on item," right?
Yeah. What do we call this thing? Item tracker.
So R. Hutchinson says, since we are talking about ngFor and nested components, when it comes to styling view encapsulation, is it better to style the item component from the parent wrapper? I like that question. I love me some styling. I really love me some encapsulation mode in Angular and the benefits that comes from that.
I opened up the SAS file.
Okay. So I think it's kind of, we're talking about that and we're thinking about, do we want to have okay, this is great. I'm excited about this. Okay. Let me form my thoughts here. What I want to talk about. I have a good example. I like to think about the components having everything they need to run by themselves, right? So at the base level, it's going to have the styling that it needs to present its view in a way that can stand alone. And the reason I kind of like doing that is that, we get into these scenarios where when we build everything has to be a component in Angular, right? So we start with at least one component. Usually we're ending up with more components, right? We don't stop there. And so we end up really we have to use components to build out our UI. And so we find ourselves in a state of going, okay, I'm going to build this experience. And even if we're saying like it's a page part, right? Like just a chunk of the page that we're going to build out. And we start building that and we say, we want to have a child component and this and that sort of thing. We build all that markup, we build all the CSS to make that experience. And we're thinking about that experience as a whole. But the power of the components is that subcomponent, that child down there, because it's a component, could be used somewhere else, right? And we could find ourselves going, oh, that subsection of that page part, we totally want to reuse that over here. Well, if that thing has everything encapsulated for its style that needs to run to look nice over here, then you can pull it out and just put it over there and it's ready to go in a starting point, right? But if you put too much coupling with the need for the parent to define that, then you lose the reusability of that. And you can see that if you run it in something like Storybook or Angular Playground, and you take this component, run it in isolation, you'll quickly see, oh, well, that was depending on styles from the parent. And I have to either implement those in the new parent, or I have to change something. And so from that aspect, I like to look at it and go, okay, how can I make sure a component has everything it needs to display itself in a manner that I find acceptable for the display? And then look at how can I affect the look of that if I need to from the parent by doing things like host context, where I may say a parent somewhere up the DOM tree has a CSS class called some theme, right? And it can apply some styles. And then in our component, we could do :host context, and I'll just type it out. Something like :host context, and we could say my theme, right? And so now this component can say, look, if somewhere up the tree there's a my theme class somewhere in the parent or up, then I will go ahead and I will make this, background gray, right? Or whatever other styling I need to do here. So now my component can support these other different theming or these other different looks, but on its own, it still runs fine because it's got its own styling to run independently, right? So that's kind of the approach that I like to take, again, because in this component world, it's built to be able to reuse components other places because they're isolating. So I like to try and keep my mind in that set and not get into this coupling. And the same thing kind of goes for like inputs and outputs and parents and children working together in those components. Like, how can they be responsible for their own things so that they, at any point, they could come out and be used somewhere else? That was long-winded. Sorry. What you got, Mike?
Sorry, I muted myself. I got down a rabbit hole.
Okay.
I went to look for creating that issue.
Oh, for the track by?
Yes. And what I'm currently looking through is somebody's proposing the idea of defining that via a directive.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, the ngFor is the structural directive, right? I mean, you'd have to tie into that somehow, right?
Exactly.
R. Hutchinson asks, is there any measurable difference when it comes to page size or performance when it comes to view encapsulation for large lists? Think of a product title of a product results list. So in view encapsulation, what happens is the Angular will grab those style rules, right, that it created in the style definitions, and it'll make an instance of those, or it'll inject that style into the style tag up in the head, and it'll be ready for that component type, I guess to say. So it's going to get this additional CSS class names added onto it to scope it, but they'll be unique for that particular component version, right? To say. So you'll get one set of styles that will apply to, if you have 30 of those components, they're all using the one set of style rules for it. You don't get 30 copies of the encapsulated styles for the 30 instances that are on the page. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
You just get the one that says this is how component A should be styled, and then it's able to use that through those. Yeah, correct. So R. Hutchinson, so the styles are unique for the component, not the instance. Correct. Yeah. And Angular handles that for us with view encapsulation and emulated mode. Yeah, it's pretty cool. I love it because it allows, for me, in the standpoint of styling components, I can really just get in there and think about, this is the CSS for this component. I know it's isolated. I know there's not going to be any type of bleed or anything like that. And then I'm free to do things like make use of selectors that are straight DOM element names, right? I don't have to go and try and build some modular system in terms of how I name my CSS classes or think about those sort of things. I can just go, look, I've got one A tag in this component. I'm going to style that A tag with an A selector instead of adding a CSS class to it. So now, I can also, by doing that, reduce some of my DOM size because I'm not adding classes onto it to represent that stuff to tie that in. So, yeah. I love me some CSS, and I love me the way that Angular does CSS. So it's always an exciting, I love diving into it.
That's when we first met, buddy.
That is true. That is true.
Yeah.
My first conf talk.
So let me ask you a Sass preference question.
Okay.
Would you leave this as items, and being that items are inside, would you then wrap item or nest inside?
I usually go with that because, well, I mean, because I want to feel more sassy, I guess, because I'm in Sass. I'm like, well, I should nest these because they are nested, right? And Sass allows you to nest them like that, and it understands how to process that and organize that. But I guess, to be honest, with this view encapsulation and the fact that I've got this just chunk of CSS for a particular component, these CSS, I mean, while on the generally they don't get too big on me in terms of a lot of stuff to be working with here where I want to organize it that much, right? Certainly can, and there's certainly been times where the CSS is getting in depth, but I find it is not. I'm not drawn to feel the need to have to do it all the time. If that makes sense. Like I like it from a SaaS standpoint, right? But I don't. I guess I don't find myself feeling good or bad if I did it or didn't do it, right?
I feel like this. I like this more, especially in smaller components, which I try to stay more towards, because otherwise, then what you're doing is this, right? Essentially, whenever this renders out, right? If you were to nest them, sorry.
With SaaS, correct. You're saying that like this is the scenario I want. Like I want to enforce that item is a sibling somewhere of items, right? In terms of this rules getting applied.
Exactly. And I think
right, yeah.
I think that this on line 19 is harder or more work for the browser to digest and find the applicable styles or classes than it is based off of just seeing dot item.
Right.
Especially, again, if it's encapsulated to just the scope of within that component.
Right.
Hey, Elite, how's it going? 93. I don't want to leave off the 93. That's important.
That's a 93, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. I think those are all things to think about too. Like you're mentioning here is the what is it called?
I mean, I get both sides of it.
What?
I get both sides of it, that there's benefits to the readability of seeing things nested within a SAS file. But I don't know. Yeah, it's definitely a code stylistic choice.
Yeah. Well, but I think the point they bring up too is also good. And I'm blanking on the term for CSS. I don't know why, but like the importance level of it, right? In terms of specificity. Thank you.
I love that word. It's another fun word to say.
I haven't said it in a while, so I guess it's like specificity of that rule, right? In the match of it, and like you're saying that by nesting it, it's more specific that it's looking for. Yeah, so I think in terms of when you identify that there's a need for that, then maybe do that.
Yeah.
Certainly like case of a host context, right up above. If you say like, look, when I have my theme, then I want items to look like this, right? Then at that point, you're like, okay, yeah, I do want to nest this with SAS because then I could do like items, right? And then, or item.
Yeah.
Something like that or something, right? Yeah.
From the chat, Elite Johnson 93 would like to know how we are doing.
You want to go first?
Sure. I'm assuming that they're asking both of us. It may just be directed towards one of us.
Oh, that's true. Because I mean, you started talking to Elite Johnson 93, so maybe they're asking you and not me. I'm gonna give my answer anyways.
Sure, just force it on everybody.
Aren't they here to hear both of us? I mean, it's the
yes, right. Justin, how are you doing?
I'm doing okay. It's been a long day. I to be honest, I stayed up too late watching Return of the King last night, so I got a little bit of a headache forming, and I'm pretty tired. But other than that, I'm here smiling. How about you?
I'm doing well. Actually, the little app that I've referred to with the track by function is rolling to production tomorrow.
Nice. Ship it. Ship button. No,
I don't have that at all.
Need that.
Yeah, I'm excited about that. So I'm happy with where we got with our track by function, but I want to pull in other code. Are you cool with that?
Yeah, sure. I guess I should ask, what code are you pulling in?
I'm stealing it.
Okay.
So I'm going to open up our terminal. I'm going to open a new terminal. And I'm going to generate a directory.
All right, Hutchinson asked, did you write test? I think that's for your production code that's going out. Do you have tests for that stuff?
Wait. Hutchinson, are you asking about my production app if I wrote tests?
I mean, your boss probably wanted to know that answer.
Oh, that's true. You know what? I did. And you know what's even better is that I got to write marble tests. I mean, I didn't just say, I'm going to write a little bit of test. Ha, ha, ha. Yeah, it's defined. It exists. No, I went full blown and I like fully tested out all of my observables, my maps and everything else.
Nice.
Good stuff. I did. I was thorough.
Did you use any bag of marbles?
No. I didn't get to the point of testing my error handling.
Okay. All right. Fair enough.
Yeah. But considering where I was it fun? Yes, absolutely. It was fun. I did enjoy writing the test. I probably spent a little bit too much time writing the test because I was enjoying myself.
All right.
Really looking at
here normally.
Hold on. I'm looking to put together a lunch and learn at my company about marble testing because I think it's that helpful.
All right.
And actually, I will be sure to make sure that that is one of the pieces included. I'm plugging myself here. I'll be doing a workshop on observables at ngConf next year. 2-day workshop, myself and Aaron Frost, Frosty, one of the organizers of the conference. And he and I will be teaching and going over it in a 2-day workshop about observables. And I'll be sure to include marble testing because it just helps close the whole loop of knowledge there. Because yes, okay, fine, I get it, and I understand how to do some things within there, but then to understand how to test it and verify that what you're doing is right, I think really close that whole knowledge loop there.
All right.
Unfortunately, I don't think I could be able to get you to join in that lunch and learn. However, if you are going to ngConf and you're looking for a workshop and you want to learn about observables, sign up.
That's the one. What is this lunch and learn? You want to explain that?
A lot of different companies will do something called, some places just call it like a brown bag lunch or anything else. You can bring lunch. Some places will pay for lunch and give somebody the opportunity to teach other people things over lunch. Like I said, some companies will sponsor it in order pizza, order sandwiches, make Justin disappear through the chat. Or like I said, people can organize it for themselves. But the idea of just teaching each other, hey, I learned how to write unit tests for this. I learned how to do animations. Hey, you want to play with animations? So basically what Justin and I are doing here, sharing things that we've learned or explore learning things. This is just learned nice. But the idea of learning something and sharing about it. It's kind of like a small little intro to public speaking, except on a much smaller scale, typically. Whether or not it's just you and a buddy just sitting there and, hey, I was playing with such and such and it was cool. Check it out. Or, hey, I got stuck on this. It's an extended version of pair programming, I guess, kind of way to think about it. I don't know. Have you not?
You know what I'd talk about at your lunch and learn if I was there? Oh my CHS.
THS.
Oh my CHS. The terminal enhancer. I love that thing. Have you checked that out? Here, let me share it. Give me 1 second here.
Speaking of which, one of the things I want to get better with and I want to make change, I use Bash. I want to switch over to ZSH. If anybody wants to help me with that, I've not done it, but I won't.
That's what I'm talking about.
All right. What directive am I creating, Justin? I'm lost. I lost my train of thought.
Yeah, I don't know what you were doing either. I'm going to share this real quick. So I'm going to share my screen while you regather your thoughts.
Why do I want to make the switch? Oh, okay. I'll get to that in a second, Hutchinson. I'll let Justin talk about OMI-ZSH.
So what do we say here? This is a framework for managing your ZHS configuration. Has all kinds of plugins, themes, that sort of thing. So I like the themes, stuff that comes out of the box, but then you get stuff, and I think it's with OMI-ZHS, but I'm not an expert on, so it might be from ZHS as well, but you get some additional like autocomplete things. You can shorthand, like instead of CD to change directory, you can just start typing the directory and hit enter and go to it. You get, tab autocomplete sort of recommendations and things like that. You can write, they have a custom folder where you can then add these functions. You can write functions in there to do your stuff, same sort of thing that you do with your bash stuff. But I don't know, the visual part of it changes. It makes it look, I don't know, I like it. So it's pretty cool. And I'm trying to think of some other things. There's a couple, like one or two other things that I hit on it that I'm like, oh my gosh, this is super productivity enhancer. I love it. But if I remember, if it comes to me, I'll call it out. But
I want to be productive. Hutchinson was asking why I was looking at switching. I've heard that Mac is switching their default from Bash to ZSH, and I try to keep my setups and my working environment as close to standard as possible. This way I don't run into situations where I go to use somebody else's machine and I'm way off, or if somebody wants to use my machine to and then be way off. However, most people don't like ergonomic keyboards, but I gotta draw the line. I want my fingers and wrists to work as long as I can. So that's why I haven't gone mechanical with my keyboard, is because I'm a firm believer of ergonomics and keeping.
I just use my mic and I dictate everything that I want to type out in code.
I don't speak clearly enough.
No, I don't. I don't do that.
It would be awesome if you did. All right. So I remember where I was. So
R. Hutchinson reminded you that you're going to steal some code.
I am. It's actually still on my clipboard. So I'm going to create a directive, and I'm going to create that track by ID, except we're just going to come in, and here we are going to skip tests. All right, is it skip tests? Did I get rid of it? Haha, no tests. Okay, cool. So I wrote my test. I'm done writing tests for the year. All right. So now we have a new directive. So let's open that up. And this is from the magic of copy and pasting. I think I missed something. We're going to leave directive, that import. We got this here. This doesn't like this. Oh, that should be a single quote. Okay. Post. Need to bring an ngFor. Whoa. Sorry. I hit command.
What's your settings?
Yeah, command comma brings up settings. So T, which extends an object that has an ID of type any. Right.
Is it going to pick up that T at the bottom as well? And line 10 is extending that?
It should.
Oh, I guess. What's the squiggly over there on the right?
Oh.
Yeah, that's squiggly.
Question mark expected.
Expected? Question mark?
Oh, let's put this here. All right, ngFor of. It's extending this thing. Right. extends something with ID. Right? Interface.
Be implements
with ID. Still doesn't like it.
Is extends what you want there?
I thought. Implements? See, I thought it was. What? You don't like directive either? I think directive's fine.
Maybe it's a false negative. VS Code, you have to close it and open the bullet file again, maybe?
That's possibly. Let's go back to where I was. Close this.
No, browser saying TS error question mark expected.
It was?
Yeah, it's saying the same error, yeah.
All right.
Where would a question mark even go there? Like, what would be the point of a... All right, that's the extent of where I know.
I don't know.
Put an any on it.
Yeah, right. But it should.
Well, what does ID complain about? Yeah, it's exists on type T. Yeah.
Somebody in chat help me.
Web.
I want to say the T extends something.
Generic with interface.
This calls for a pretzel.
Pretzel, pretzel, pretzel.
I apparently stole broken code. Fixed it.
What'd you do?
Oh, in here I didn't say that item was a T. I said it was an any.
Oh, what was it before? Item was what?
Of type T.
Oh. So you put an any on it. You just had to put an any on the right thing.
Yeah. All right. So let's look at what we stole here. So we've created, or this has a selector of a property or an attribute. So all I have to do is put a value or ngFor track by ID. And what that does is when this gets created, it's going to find the host element for ngFor is a property, and it's of type ngFor of. And then what it's doing here is that it's on that ngFor, the ngFor track by function is equal to this. And it's interjecting this, which, if we remember correctly, looks just like ours here, item or index item and return an item.id, right? And it's putting that as the ngFor track by function. It's assigning it. So it's the directive that finds it. We'll find the ngFor on that host element and then assign the track by function on it. So if we save that and then we try to use this, all we should need to do is instead of specifying the track by function here, we just say that it's an ngFor track by ID. So let's try it without real quick and make sure that we're broken again. Track by export was not found in track by. I changed the name of it. Sorry. At module. This is what we're expecting it to be named. Okay, good. And I'll copy that. And we're back. Right. Okay, so everything's green. This should be broken, so when we do odd, we get the duplicate ones, right? Justin?
Right.
So now we have things rendering duplicate, or again, things are duplicated, which is bad. We don't want that. So let's try adding in our new directive. It doesn't like that. No provider for ngFor of. Why not? Why is it? I'm looking through this article here.
Did you provide that directive in the module anywhere?
This one?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. I think what the complaint. Why are we not seeing the error?
But you're not, that track by directive's not part of the declarations, right?
This here?
The actual directive class. So
the directives class. Say that again.
Go back to the track by ID directive.ts file.
Yeah.
That class is not declared in any ng module, right?
Yes, it is.
Where at?
Right
oh,
here.
There it is. Wait, what? Save it. I don't see it on mine.
Let me check what's going on here. Oh, what's happening in my console says there's no provider for ngFor of. So what it's trying to do is saying, hey, there's no provider for this thing. But there should be, because we have browser module, which has common module, which has ngFor. More animations.
More animation. So what do we got on this directive? It's got this host, decorator. To try and get that from the element that's on, ngFor of. Why is not ngFor of available? Googling. Well, I feel like we probably have to provide it, right?
But should we?
In order for the injector to know that it can inject it, that's an injectable thing. What if you provide it right there in the component directive or in the directive providers? Can you just provide ngFor right there in the array?
No.
Capital N. I don't know. Are there no providers in the directive?
I have provders.
Yeah. All right.
Well, let's close our component. I'm just going to simplify what I have open here.
All right. That seems to run. Still get the same issue. I mean, different. We get running code.
And let's refresh. Doesn't seem to like that. Is that because I put this here as well? So, okay, save that again. Didn't seem to like that.
What if we provide it up higher, the app component or the app module?
Didn't seem to like that.
You have two providers properties. Is that a problem?
What?
Dude, okay, my VS Code then is just whacked. It's out of sync. Right.
Nope, I've only got the one.
I'm gonna close mine and reopen mine.
It does not like it. We can go back. So what I was looking at, this blog post, and it's talking about having to rewrite a track by ID function over and over again. You can see it in action here. I didn't see that before. Anyway, scrolling. So this breaks out the differences between ngFor with the as a structural directive into two different elements, and has the ngFor track by. So that's what they were looking at doing here. Blah, blah, blah. So this is saying, all right, they want to be able to do something like this, track by ID. All right, well, that's a directive, and that's where we got. And you don't want to do it based off of ngFor and ngFor of, because then it would apply to all of them.
Right.
So create our own directive and work magic, which is what we have. And this is what I grabbed. Overwrite the tracking function. Well, it's here.
Yeah, I feel like that ngFor of, and I think the error went away at one point when you had it in there. I feel the ngFor of needs to be provided so the dependency injection knows that it can inject it.
But ngFor is provided because it's part of the common Angular common.
But is it provided really, like for injection, or is it just available for being done, via the directive?
But that's what we've done, right? But if we're providing it here, we don't need common module because browser module defines it. The browser module automatically, it re-exports the common module. Yeah, it would be redundant to bring common module in here a second time.
So can you put that provider of the ngFor of back on the track by directive, ID directive?
All right, save that. Okay.
There was a time when I saw it working. So was the directive not on there when I saw it working just recently?
Was it when I did that?
Yes. Must have been when you did that. So that's
happening off screen. It's not actually finding it when this selector is applied. How do you specify that you want two different attributes to be found? What if I did just when it's on ngFor? Yeah, this directive isn't being applied. So what's happening is that the selector is causing it to not be found. ngFor track by ID. Let's double check that. Yes, that's what we have here. Who did that? Oh. Save that. So potentially an ordering issue.
Why did that work?
No.
Yeah.
But this was happier. Now it's telling me static injection error. No provider for template reference.
So is that a dependency of ngFor of? Yeah.
Possibly. Well, I'm not sure. I know, right?
Mm-hmm. You don't have to use the asterisks in front of that, do you? Couldn't have two structural directives on there, though.
No, you can't have two structural directives. Mishko commented on this issue on August 7th of 2018, suggesting and that it should permit or if somebody put up a PR that it would take a inline function there, then they would be happy to accept that.
Yeah. All right. Well,
so the next step is to save this file and close it. Go over here, find that, right click, delete. That file don't exist no more. And since it doesn't exist, we can't declare it. And get rid of those. And we're back to good. And it's working. Oh, no, wait. We have to actually use our track by function again. Track by. And I don't remember what our track by function was called again. Item tracker.
Item tracker.
And then we go back to localhost 4200. So then when I switch to odd, that's good. It works again.
Cool.
I'm pretty happy with how that works.
I'm happy too.
I mean, yeah, it would be nice to have the shorthand there, but I can deal with this.
That would go good in like a Angular enhancements library, like we talked about with like ng let and this track by ID, things like that.
Idea.
Yeah.
Oh, the Medium post I referenced is where I was reading about this is here. So if you play with it and you get that to work, please let us know.
Hey, we need to plan our next stream or one upcoming to do some more open source contributions. We're already halfway through October.
That's true. We need to do something.
So we need to figure out something to contribute to.
Maybe implement a track by prop PR.
That sounds like a complex thing to get into Angular.
Angular Bazel. Oh, I want Bazel so much.
We should play with that, or you should play with that, and I can learn from you playing with that because you know about it.
I know a little bit about it. I need to learn more. I want to learn more about it. I want to get more experience with it.
Yeah.
I have a feeling if we were to live stream about basil, that there would be much fail.
That's how we'll learn, right?
Yeah.
Assuming we can solve on top of fail, right?
So something really cool about basil is that it's, well, first of all, it went 1.0.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
Hey, in retrospect, that's one of my picks for Angular Air today. So if we build a time machine, that's going to be one of my picks.
All right.
But anyway, they've done a whole lot of work with the node rules, and you can just essentially call node binaries from Bazel.
All right.
It's pretty slicky slick.
Sounds pretty interesting.
Yeah. Justin, I feel like we didn't do a very good job with the CSS styling.
You don't like it?
No.
Hey, you can use some padding around the data that's inside of there, I think.
You make me sad now.
Why?
Because if we're going to do the app component SAS file, then each item needs to be
So we got grid and our flex.
Yes. That's legit.
Yeah, I think so.
Right? Does that work? Did I do it right?
You did it right.
Look at me go.
I like it.
All right. Now it looks good.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, things change color. Got
I agree. Nice.
Yes.
All right, dude. I think I need to get some sleep.
I'm with you.
My head is pounding. So
Good. And the screen sharing.
are we done? Oh, you're
Yeah.
done with screen sharing. All right, gotcha. Go back to us. I'll throw our logo out there. Boom. Branding.
Cool. So I want to say that I really like the idea of next Wednesday, because it'll be the 23rd already.
Wow.
Is open source contributions. If you have a repo that, or an issue on a repo that we could dive into, let us know.
Yeah, yeah.
If not, we'll find our own and we'll
contribute to.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
We'll P the R's. No.
Pair
PRs? No.
Okay. Pair PRs. I got it. PPRs. Pair PRs.
Yeah. Let's do it.
Sounds good. All right. It's fun as usual.
Absolutely. Thanks everyone for joining.
Help Ivy to the finish line. All right, Justin says. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe there's only one last thing left to commit on it. We could do it. We'll see.
Possibly.
Yeah, thanks everybody for joining us tonight in chat. It's fun.
And we will see you next time. Definitely next Wednesday, maybe before. Who knows?
Yeah. Stay tuned.
All right.
Later, everyone.